Welcome back to the Northwest Tank Line Super Bowl show, coming to you from Radio Row, Phoenix, Arizona, the convention center. It's the Chiefs and the Eagles in Super Bowl 57, our 22nd year at Radio Row. And you know what? We've reeled in a big fish today because he is the one and only A.J. Hawk, former NFL linebacker, and, of course, part of the Pat McAfee show now, stopping by. A.J., thanks so much for taking time out and joining us here.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate it. This is I've been to Radio Row not as many times as you guys have, but a decent amount from when I was playing and now not playing. And it's pretty amazing what gets put together here.
How much fun is it for you guys being here and not only being able to get all the guests you get, but just seeing people in the industry, old friends, all that?
It's awesome. I mean, that's how. There's a lot of people that I only see once a year, and that's here at Radio Row. So yeah, it's really cool because I didn't pay enough attention when I was playing to all of this and everything going on. I came a few times to Radio Row, but never, I don't know, I guess I never really even thought about it too much. And now when I've been here and I see all these different people from all the different places, I just realize football's in a great spot. It's a great time to be an NFL fan, no question.
Yeah, no question. And one of the things too is when you come down here, as you mentioned, you get to see people that you haven't seen all year long. And it's just like John Riggins told me this many years ago. It's like a convention for the people in the media.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right? And for players and former players. And I see a lot of buddies like James Jones. I play with him in Green Bay. I don't get to see him a whole lot. I get to see him out here. Guys like that. And then obviously meeting new people and seeing people that you realize, oh, okay, I just keep coming back, see them year after year after year. I don't know what it'll look like. This might look like in 10 years. Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine it'd be monstrous. We were talking about the sports gambling and everything, what that's going to do to football and how it's just exploding. It's like I said, I really enjoy watching football. I'm kind of sad it's almost over.
And the crazy thing is, we touched on this, how small of a family it is. You always think of NFL, CFL, NCAA, it's this monster. Man, it's like Kevin Bacon. It's not even 6 degrees. Because we were talking about all these guys. You went to Ohio State, whether it's Brent Johnson, played many years in BC, outstanding Canadian, outstanding defensive player. Rob Murphy, an old lineman. Mm-hmm. You said Devere Posey. You guys are like your kids play against.
Oh, yeah. I just saw him last weekend at a basketball tournament that he's I'm coaching my 6th grade daughter. He's coaching one of his kids that's younger. And, yeah, you do. And Chuck Pagano, he comes on our show every week. Chuck was here for a couple of nights with us staying in the house that we're staying at. And the best thing was just sitting around, having a cigar, asking Chuck questions and listening to stories. Chuck was in the NFL. He coached football for the last 38 years or something. So if you mention a name to coaches like that, they've either worked with them, they've worked with their dad, their son. They have personal relationships with all these people that I know of and I've watched play. But it's that part is really cool to me, hearing all the old school stuff that's going on.
It's crazy. We have a coach in Canada by the name of Chris Jones. He's the head coach of Edmonton. Mm-hmm. And a guy walks by, noticed we're from Canada, and he goes, it was Bruce Arians' son, Jake.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, how's Chris Jones doing? I go, yeah, I know Chris Jones. He goes, him and my dad were interns at Alabama together, graduate assistants, right? So it's just
it's a big fraternity.
It is,
isn't it?
How much fun did you guys have this week on the Pat McAfee show?
We loved it. This last year was my first year coming here. I guess it was really the first year that the show kind of had a big presence at Radio Row. I know Pat had been here, I think, a couple years before that. I wasn't doing much with them at the time, but this is my 2nd year with them, full, all in, all week, doing everything. It's awesome. It's kind of like how I guess you said it's a convention for people to get together and see each other. So I join Pat's show 5 days a week, but I'm in Ohio. The rest of them are in Indianapolis. I connect on FaceTime through my attic, and I drive to Indy on Fridays when he's doing game day. That's the only time I go to studio, but I don't ever get to see Pat in person. I'm only seeing him through video, so this is the only time we're really together on stage in person, and then we're hanging out together afterwards. So it's like a whole celebration of what we've done all through the year when we all get to hang out.
And that's a feather in your cap because the show's off the charts, successful and popular. But to do it remotely, rather than having that, face-to-face where you kind of read off a guy, his reaction or whatever, that's amazing. I mean, you guys, I don't know how you're pulling it off.
Try to make I'm really weirdly OCD about even though it's all our whole show is just running inside jokes with everything, with the fans and us and everything. But I feel really weird about wanting to make sure audio's okay, video's okay, even though my internet sucks and goes out all the time. But I think. Yeah, if you got to learn.
You sound like my producer.
Yeah, it's like anything else, though. When people are with all the Zoom culture and FaceTime going on, you got to improve at some point. You got to figure out, hey, let's stop stepping on each other. Let's not do that. And I'm very aware of making sure, even though we're remote, we still need to make it a good show.
How hard was the transition
From
Was it
football
all you,
to,
or did you get coached up a bit?
honestly, I got coached up from when I stepped into the league from my first year. Like I played in the league 11 years, and every day I realized I always thought I could be done tomorrow. Like I never took anything for granted. Like I was going to be around. Or I know with football, it's a business. They could cut you at any time. You could get hurt at any time. So I was always thinking of what I wanted to do after football. I ended up going to that NFL. They have a broadcast boot camp. Mm-hmm. That was actually very helpful. But now where I'm at now with Pat and what I'm doing 5 days a week with him, could never have predicted that, and it just kind of happened organically. I was doing some games, working as a color analyst for a lot of college games for the last, I shouldn't say the last couple years, but 2-3 years ago I did that for a while, and I really enjoyed it. I loved it, but now I've kind of fallen into this thing, and I absolutely having time of my life.
The one thing about your crew, and this is the amazing part as well, when you have so many voices –
it's hard.
At the same time, it's hard because you don't know what you don't want to
talk
over.
It usually sucks. Well, if you see a show and you see 8 people on the desk, I'm like, what are we doing? Each guy gets 3 seconds. So that's what I'm with you though. I think that's definitely a balance you got to figure out.
And the other thing too is just that, and doing it remotely. Not talking over the guy as he's starting to talk, right? Yeah. I'm sure that's something that, being an OCD guy, you realize. And then, props to Pat, too, because that guy who's running that whole conglomerate of 4 or 5 guys on a panel, he's like a conductor, man. He's got to make sure everybody gets in and out and nice and tight, and Pat does a great job of it.
No, he's unbelievable. Like, he not only unbelievably talented in how he views things, how he's speaking, his energy, his very authentic in how he is, but also just being a boss and having all these people that rely on him in the show, like it's grown into something that I'm sure he dreamed it would, but I don't know if he expected it to happen as fast as it has, and there's a lot on his plate every single day.
Tell us something about Pat McAfee we don't know.
Oh man, that's the cool thing about Pat too. I don't think there's anything, he's not hiding anything. He tells you all the time, like, what you do in the dark will come to light, and I think he lives that way. Like, we don't get back to the house and there's a different human. When we see a different human back there, like, people do ask me that a lot, though. Hey, what's Pat like off camera, off mic? I'm like, what you see on camera, on the mic is exactly the guy who is off the mic when we're just hanging out. So I think that's one of my favorite things about him is how authentic and real he is. And there's not 2 different versions. Not like, oh, hey, the light came on, here he goes. We see this guy. No, that's all the time.
But that's the thing about broadcasting, and it drives me nuts when I see those guys.
Oh yeah,
it's like I'm me. The guy that you're listening to right now, that's the same guy you'll see Saturday afternoon on a golf course or Friday night at the bar or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that's what drives me nuts about this industry sometimes. You just see people, I call them fraudulent.
Yeah.
Right? And
you can see through it, can't you?
Yeah, you do. Eventually, the cream rises, you know what I mean? And people do start seeing through it. AJ Hawk from the Pat McAfee Show. Forget that. Super Bowl champion.
There you go.
With the Green Bay Packers. Super Bowl itself. Let's talk a little X's and O's. I love asking this question because, you guys are always asked questions about this and that. I want to know what AJ Hawk is thinking about when it comes to this game. What's intriguing you? What are you looking at?
Ooh, a lot. I've been going throughout this whole week. I've been trying to figure out, okay, who's going to win? What do I think? And at the same time also saying, who cares what I think? Like, I always think that we all give opinions on what we think is going to happen in the game. Technically, that's what we're doing. We're broadcasting, so I guess people want to hear your opinions, but the coaches, Andy Reid, Sirianni, they don't know what's going to happen in the game yet. They have a plan, but they're going to be adjusting every single second of the game. But I think when everyone's all on board, I feel like, I don't know how people have been telling you and what you're hearing, but people love Philly's O-line, their D-line. Yeah, so do I. I think they're unbelievable, and they think they're just going to plow through it and run them over. I don't know. Like, I have a hard time picking against Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce in that defense. Chris Jones on defense for the Chiefs is a guy who I think can absolutely be a difference maker.
See, you're going the same way that I'm sure a lot of people you talked about. The big thing is Philadelphia, personnel-wise, has the advantage. Mm-hmm. But 2 key parts, coaching and quarterback, people are giving the advantage to KC. And that's why you're seeing that line sit at 2 or whatever it is, and a lot of people saying, hey, you know what, as good as Philadelphia is, you're giving Andy Reid 2 weeks. We had Chris Sims on. He was talking about the fact that here's a former O-line coach. Nothing is really going to stymie him when it comes to what you're going to bring. He's going to figure out ways to try to create a little doubt with that Philadelphia defense somehow, some way, whether it's motion, misdirection, you name it. Sure. I mean, you played the game. If you're on the defensive side of the ball, what's your biggest enemy? Doubt. You want to play hard. You want to play with aggression. As soon as you start thinking about stuff, now advantage offense.
That's what I think we saw a lot last week. They highlighted during the broadcast when Philly's playing San Fran. They show Fred Warner how he's kind of frozen a few times because he has a quarterback responsibility if Jalen pulls the ball in some of those reads. And it's true. Like, if you're it creates a little indecision, and that's what this RPO game does too. You don't really know, hey, are these linemen coming off the ball for a pass or for a run, or what are you doing? And it just creates that split second of indecision, and that's all you need in the NFL.
Yeah, and you bang on with that, and I think that's the key thing, and it's going to be interesting to see how Kansas City goes about trying to take a little bit of a bite out of that Philadelphia offense. And, the other thing, too, is probably the Philadelphia defense. The other thing, too, is when you look at this game, I think one of the key components is the fact that, whoever stays on schedule is going to be in so much better shape.
Yeah.
Because if you get into a 2nd and 9, 3rd and 8 situation with either team, I think doesn't bode well.
Yeah. It seems like natural or easy to say, all right, if the Chiefs need to come out and try to get off to a fat start, get out to an early lead because the Eagles haven't really had to play from behind. I mean, in theory, that's easy to say. The Chiefs have to figure out a way to do it. But, I think, like I was talking about Chris Jones, that Kansas City defense that nobody really talks about. I'm sure they used that's a chip on their shoulder, like we saw what happened with Burrowhead and everything going on. Those Chiefs, I think they feel, hey, everyone thinks the Eagles are going to win. Everyone thinks they can run through. It's like, we're the Chiefs. We have Patrick Mahomes. We've been doing this for a while now. They should be giving us more respect. I think they kind of thrive off that. I really do.
We just had our old buddy Mitch Berger stop by and talked about what it meant for him to win the Super Bowl after all those years in the league as a punter. You won it.
Yeah.
What was that emotion like with the Green Bay Packers when you guys beat the Steelers?
It was awesome. I mean, the first thing I think of is should have won more. Should have had more rings. I was playing with Aaron Rodgers for 9 years. We should have done our part to get more rings somehow, but I also realized how difficult it is to get there. We had to squeak our way into the playoffs that year and then go win 3 road games to get to the Super Bowl. So there's a lot that you have to figure out, and you got to get some luck as well. But, I mean, the first we won by 6 points, and our defense was on the field and against the Steelers, and they had a chance to drive down and score, kick an extra point, and beat us. That was definitely in my mind when we went up to take the field. We were only up 6. But I still remember there's 4th and 5, whatever it is, something like that. They threw a ball, and Tramon Williams comes up, knocks the ball down, gets a PBU, and I remember doing a 360 to look around for flags, and I saw there's no flags, and then it hit me, we won the Super Bowl, bam. I have 4 kids now. That was my first daughter. She was 2 months old. My first kid was born 2 months old and on the field, and I'm like, this is a fantasy land. This isn't the real world. I'm a part of it, so I'm very, very thankful. But, I wish I would have had some more too.
As we let you go, who do you like and why?
I've gone back and forth a little bit. I like the Chiefs, though. Awesome. I said I like the Chiefs 33-27 because, people want to get a score. And if you get it right, then you can sit there and peacock about that afterwards. Look at this. And if you get it wrong, hopefully no one hears about it. You don't talk about it again. That's how we all do it, I guess. I think the Chiefs find a way to get out to a fast start, like I said. And it's really tough to pick against Patrick Mahomes. And if hopefully nothing happens to where he takes a weird shot and his ankle flares up again or something like that. I like it. I think the Chiefs O-line, I think they've heard all the talk about how great this Philly D-line is and how are you going to stop them and what are you going to do. And I think the Chiefs are going to come out and try to be physical.
Hey, as we wrap up, one of the guys of our production team, huge Ohio State fan,
Nice.
Michael Toy. And every time he talks about Ohio State, it's we. I'm like, dude, you're not on the team. He's like,
as long as you say we when we lose and when we win. When a lot of people love to be we when they're, we're dominating, we're doing awesome. And then, they suck, they're terrible, they just got beat. As long as it's we all the time, that's great.
Hey, AJ, thanks so much for doing this. I know your schedule this week has been crazy, and I know you made an effort to get out here. I hope you enjoyed the stick. And anytime you come to Vancouver, man, you will be taken care of. We'll look after you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. My brother-in-law is a hockey player, so he tells me all about the Canadian culture. And
Who's that?
Jack Johnson, plays for the Blackhawks now. Just won a cup with the Avs last year.
Yeah.
He's
awesome.
the man.
There
Great
you go.
guy.
You ever been on skates?
Oh, yeah. I've been on skates. Not good. Not good. I fall and I can't stop, and I wish I could skate backwards. So, I'm a disgrace to all Canadians.
Oh, man, we'll make you an honorary one. AJ, thanks for doing this.
Thank you very much.